What's up, y'all? I'm Miss Megan Liana, and welcome back to Be Fck'n For Real. It's our Sunday sound off, unfiltered takes, and unapologetic truths. Another week, y'all. I say this all the time. Every week, it's just always a lot. So we gonna get right into it. Now y'all know I love to just start off light because everything be so goddamn heavy. Might as well just start a little light. You know what I'm saying? So this week, Solange Knowles had to turn off her Instagram comments when she posted this picture. Okay, now the picture is of her altar, right? And if it's one thing that's gonna piss a bunch of Black people off, is posting anything but the blood of white Jesus, okay? And here's my problem with that, right? Now, she had to turn the comments off because people just, of course, are going to call it demonic. They're going to say that's the devil. They're going to say, I rebuke thee, I rebuke you. So I don't blame her, for turning the comments off, because here's my thing, right? When it comes to religion, okay, and I'm just talking about basic, just the fundamentals of like Christianity as a religion, okay? Christianity, like this form of Christianity that Black people are so bound to today, is based off of slavery. Like, this is a colonized version of Christianity. Now, that's for the people that are commenting. When it comes to what she posted, it looks like that's an altar for Yemaya. And it could be, she could be practicing Yoruba, Ifa, Santeria. Solange has been very, very vocal of her religious practice, right? And when it comes to that religion, that is a religion that is based in certain parts of Africa, the Caribbean, and different Latin cultures, whether it's the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, especially in Cuba. And in these places, that religion was demonized and vilified when the slave trade started, right? Like the transatlantic slave trade. And so at one point, they had to practice this in secret. And before they had to practice this in secret, because they were forced to practice these religions in secret, before any land was colonized, the first thing that they would do would be to send the missionaries. And they would send the missionaries because in order to take over a group of people, they had to take over their religion. They had to take their religion from them first. They had to take their religion, and they had to take what they clung to for faith. And they did that with Native Americans. They did that in Africa. And there was the Queen series, and I forget, it was the Queen series on Netflix, right? Where they were highlighting different African queens. And the first one, I need to look up what her name was, because the first one was a queen that really fought to keep her culture's religion. And she fought not only to keep her culture's religion, but she was the one of the only queens that did not fall to slavery by the Portuguese. And I gotta find her name. Okay, wait. I gotta look this up right now. The Queen series. I gotta look this up because it's so, I wish I could remember her name. Was it called Queens? Yes. Okay, it was called Queens, plural. And the first queen, you know, Netflix has way too many queen names. Queen series. That's great. I think they did that on purpose. Queen series. I remember Jada Pinkett produced it. Because there was one queen that was able to, Queen Ninja, Njinga, Njinga. Okay, now she was an African, and this is important because she was an African queen where she didn't, her tribe and her land, like her people, she never sold them to slavery, and the Portuguese were never able to make them slaves, but she had to convert to their religion. And her people had to convert to their religion. And religion is the most important thing that was taken. And it was taken by also, it was just drilled in their heads that there is this place called heaven and there is this place called hell. And you're a savage. You're going to go to hell for practicing that religion. And that's been carried on to this day. And my whole thing is that when it comes to religion, right? Like me personally, although I converted to Christianity in my adult years, I didn't grow up Christian. I grew up Buddhist. And I remember always being told I was going to go to hell. And I couldn't understand why I was just going to go to hell for having a different religion. And it always made me look at religion as something where people have a right to practice whatever religion they want without being told they're going to go to hell, because whatever religion you have, like, it serves that higher purpose for your life. Whether it is, you know, worshiping God, Jesus Christ, or whether it's worshiping, you know, Allah and you're a Muslim, or whether it's, you know, worshiping and practicing and venerating your Orisha for your religion, for, you know, whatever sanctity or whatever other religion it may be. Like, and everything ain't the devil because it doesn't fit this Christian form of religion, right? Because if we're going to break it down, okay, and again, I am more of a free thinker when it comes to religion. So God made Satan. God created Satan. He made, you know, so he created the ruler of hell, right? Just like God created angels, and fallen angels become demons, but they were once angels, so they were also created by God. So if God made everything and God touched everything, if it's of God, same thing with the Orishas. You know, what if God made everything, then how can it be demonic? And here's my thing with the word demonic, right? Like, or demon. King James wrote the Bible. King James wrote the Bible, you know, that King James version. He wrote the Bible, but he also wrote the book of demonology. So, and King James had his own perversions and obsessions that he was dealing with. So when you look at this version of the Bible that people love to thump and call something demonic, it could have been written by a goddamn demon or somebody who was connected to their own demons. But the problem is, you know, that's never, ever taken into account. And everybody just kind of feels like because they serve their God, or, you know, what they feel is God and what they feel is the God connected to Jesus Christ, that it gives them the right to call something else that they don't understand or study demonic. And we're not in a space where people need to hide anymore. Like, I'm glad she cut off her comments, because in reality, fuck what y'all think, you know, but there needs to be respect for other people's religions, because at the end of the day, this ain't a time where y'all gonna be burning people at the stake and calling them a witch. This ain't the time where a lot of people are scared, as you can see, are scared of your opinions of what they practice. Because unless if you actually see a demon, it's like, unless if you see somebody actually worshiping a picture of a demon or worship, like there are Satanists, there are people that worship what some may call the devil, and, you know, entities that are of the devil. And that's demonic. Like, there are people that worship real demons where it's like, they'll be like, yeah, I'm demonic as fuck. Like, this is who I serve. But calling, you know, an altar, and at the end of the day, it's like, when you go to church, isn't there an altar call? Like, an altar is a space where you go to pray, and that's between you and your higher power that you're having that moment with. And, you know, I think that we're in a time right now where everybody has access to information, and you can easily, you know, research and get access to the proper information and understand, like, is something demonic or not, before you just out here commenting and calling some shit demonic. So, yeah, we gonna give Solange a break, because if it ain't Solange, it's gonna be somebody else. And it's a lot of people that, you know, practice these religions, and they deserve to be able to practice their religious, you know, practice their religion in peace without having to turn the comments off to not be called demonic, okay? In some other news, we could take a nice lesson from Mexico, because they sent aid while the United States Trump administration is sending Mexicans to concentration camps, and while they're sending Mexicans to El Salvador and other countries that they're not from, Mexico is sending firefighters and first responders from Acuna, Mexico, to aid search and rescue efforts in Texas, where the flood is. And they were sent by Fundación 911. And some of these people have dual citizenship. Some of these guys have a visa. But it's crazy because, like, if the shoe was on the other foot, ain't no way in hell the Trump administration would do the same. They wouldn't return the favor. And it just goes to show, like, when what's at stake, when community and compassion are both lacking from your neighbor. Because on a map, there are borders, right? Like, on a map, or when you're on the road, you know what I mean? Like, we don't see the line, but we don't physically see the line in the sand that separates the land between the two towns, but we'll see the sign when we cross it. But when there's a tragedy, you can't see that shit. There are no borders. Like, there's just a tragedy, and you're on one side or the other. But when your neighbor on that same side or on the other side needs help, you should be able to help them openly, and you should want to help them, right? But, okay, I ain't gonna lie, right? Like, if I was one of those workers, I don't give a damn if I got a visa. I don't give a damn if I got dual citizenship. Ain't no way in hell I'm coming to help America. After the way they're talking about my people and after the way they're probably doing my potential family members or something like that, I'm not helping y'all. But I'm petty. I'm not at a level of, they're better than me, basically. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, like, Trump and them would not send help to Mexico. If anything, Trump and them would be celebrating the tragedy that took place. If anything, Trump and them would laugh or crack jokes or make a big deal if they even needed our help, or if we even sent a small fraction of resources. And they needed to send resources to us because our own administration failed the people that they needed to help. So it was reports by the New York Times that it took 3 days for the administration to respond and sign off from FEMA's claims, which led to the delayed rescue. If there's a delayed rescue, then that means that's why more people have passed away and they need a longer search and rescue party. And if we're even going to take it further, when you look at the mass cuts and the mass firings in the federal department and in these weather departments and stuff within the federal government, the role of the person that sounds the alarm for a flood, that position has been open since April 30th. So these are the things that happen when we have incompetent people in charge of positions that they know nothing about. And when you have racists in charge as well, like, this is karma. But the fact that when I say karma, it's like, it's one of those things where, but let's say if this was a movie, right? In a movie, you would see the really racist guy, and in the movie, the racist guy would get help by the people he is being racist to, and then he would have a change of heart. But these people, I highly doubt will have a change of heart. Now, I would say that on a federal level. I think on a state level, you would hope that these individuals that are impacted by the people, that rescued them, that they would maybe have a little more compassion for their neighbors that looks like the people that rescue them. Because again, when tragedy strikes, like, you're not gonna say, hey, are you from Mexico? Are you here legal? Like, you're not gonna ask somebody that's helping you for their papers. And that same thought process really needs to be applied to, their neighbors across the border as well. And I hope I hope it's one of those things where it has like a ripple effect where, they end up standing up for their neighbors one day when ICE is in town, because we know ICE ain't gonna stop no time soon. And I'm sure they'll be back at that area in Texas as soon as the flood clears. But hey, what do I know? They actually look like they could be brothers from another mother. So Donald Trump and Rosie O'Donnell have had a beef for a very, very long time, right? And she ended up leaving the United States and she's moved to Ireland, and she said this is escape his presidency. And, she's been very vocal about her disdain with him. All right, cool. Backstory. Okay. But the issue is that Donald Trump, like, she made another statement about why she's not here. And Donald Trump ended up, tweeting that because of the fact that Rosie O'Donnell is not in the best interest of our great country, I am giving serious consideration to taking away her citizenship. Then he says she's a threat to humanity and should remain in the wonderful country of Ireland if they want her. God bless America. Now, can he do that? Like, can he legally do that? No. So, citizenship can only be revoked through denaturalization. That means if their citizenship was gained through fraud or misrepresentation or in cases of treason, then your citizenship can be revoked. But you can't do it just because you feel like it or because you don't like what they're saying. Now, that's like what's in the Constitution. However, does this guy follow the Constitution? No. So, knowing he doesn't, I honestly think that he's going to be bold enough to try to revoke her citizenship. Now, follow me. Here's why I think he's going to try to do it, okay? I think he's going to try to do it based off of like her ancestry and this whole birthright citizenship thing, okay? Follow me. Y'all know I bring it together. Okay, so look. Anybody that came to America that was not indigenous to America, they have like settlers, like they have ancestors that came to this country, European ancestors that came to this country, right? And so if you look at like their European ancestors, that still would make them a naturalized citizen based off of birthright. And when it comes to African Americans, and you try to trace the history of African Americans, there's always a wall where it stops. And usually that wall is after they were either purchased as slaves, freed as slaves, or it's when the census starting and they were able to live on their own. So this is like after slavery, right? So, but normally there's always a place where as like Black Americans, you can only go back about like 3 to 4 generations of like your family tree. Like sometimes you can find your great grandmother, but when you start looking for the great great grandparents and the great 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 grandparents, you can't find them. White Americans do not have that problem. White Americans can trace their lineage all the way back to when they came on the boat. White Americans can trace their lineage all the way back to before they came on the boat and came to the States. So, I say all that to say, if Donald Trump can look up Rosie O'Donnell's records to go as far back to where her family came to the States, I personally believe that even if he can't do it, I really believe he's going to try to somehow revoke her citizenship based off of the denaturalization process that was just approved. Because remember, the Supreme Court just approved that birthright citizenship can be contested. Now, there is a class action suit right now that is halting that from moving forward. But has this guy ever cared about cases moving forward that are stopping something? No. And he is trying to make sure that he's trying to test how he can denaturalize people. And he even questioned, the New York mayoral candidate, Zoran Mandani's citizenship and revoking that. So let's not act like with the powers that the Supreme Court just gave this guy, that he won't at least try to find a way to take away her citizenship. Like, there's a lot of stuff that he just says and just post on Truth Social, and it goes, a lot of people take it like in one ear and out the other, like he's just senile. But prime example, before Alligator Alcatraz was open, remember when he was on Truth Social talking about how he wanted to reopen Alcatraz? Like, he gets these random ideas and he posts them, but he's so senile that, and he has so many yes men around him that they will find a way to try. So I personally believe that Rosie O'Donnell could be the first white person that is a denaturalized citizen based from Donald Trump and his administration. And speaking of Don and his administration and his people, this Epstein case got these people in a tussle. Okay? I never thought that Jeffrey Epstein would be the thing that would, make MAGA dislike Trump. But this week, and shout out to Midas Touch, because they posted a compilation of MAGA that have been burning their MAGA hats.
We're not going to play with these anymore. MAGA hats are all. America First hats are on.
And they love their hat. They love this hat. It's like it's their pride, like, and they are burning this all because Donald Trump and Pam Bondi said that there is no Jeffrey Epstein client list. And Jeffrey Epstein passed away in 2019 of suicide. And then even that's like coming up to question right now. Like, that's been this whole because they've decided not to release the client list, the question of whether he really passed or not, that's like a whole nother thing that's like up for, debate again. And I'm actually surprised that it took something for them to be upset with him about, because this is not new. So, and it's not like it's not from his first term. Like, the Jeffrey Epstein trial shit was going on during his first term. 2019, Trump was still in office. So I don't see why the list wouldn't have been released then. I don't understand why it took his second term for it to come out. And I didn't really understand, honestly, why they were upset, but then I did a little research and I saw some videos. So I'm just going to play this little compilation and then I'll meet y'all back here in 1 minute.
But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it.
Release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, We have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable that people thought a creep would throw another creep under the bus, especially when him and that creep was hanging out. And like, okay, so part of the issue is that, and let's recap what was in those videos. So when he was campaigning, he said that he was going to release the videos. Okay. So for some reason, even though, just like he said, he wasn't a part of, like, Project 2025 wasn't going to be enacted. And here we are 6 months into his term, and about 40% of Project 2025 is enacted. People believe that he would actually release the Epstein list. And this is really tearing apart his base. Like, the MAGA influencers, Alex Jones, Laura Loomer, and Tucker Carlson are all pissed off that that list was not released. And of course, Elon is stirring the pot. And I don't know if Elon bringing up that Donald Trump was on that list about a month ago or a few weeks ago when their beef started. I don't know if that was the thing that like set this off, which is why everybody wants to see it. But it's like the fact that he said he was going to release it and he hasn't released it is their problem. But also, there's 1 minute. So they also released like the video of his jail cell, right? Or what happened in his cell. I'm not sure. I didn't really want to see the video. But there's a 1 minute skip in that video. And there's 1 minute or 1 minute and 5 seconds of missing time. And because of that missing time, they feel that there's some conspiracy or cover up. But this whole thing has been a conspiracy or cover up. And I guess it's because what Epstein did was deplorable. And when it comes to that list, there are a lot of high-powered people that are on that list. So I'm sure there are a lot of people that do not want that list to come out, including this guy, because they were damn near best friends. If they weren't best friends, it seemed like they were. So, and this is just one picture of them. There are plenty pictures, plenty videos. There is also a girl that says Trump essayed her and she was hired by Jeffrey Epstein. Like, she was there and she was on that island. So I just can't believe this is the hill. Like, I can't believe that the Epstein files is the thing that will make MAGA turn their back on Trump. Like, it wasn't the 34 counts that he was charged for assaulting somebody. It wasn't, paying a prostitute or paying an escort when he cheated on it, for using his funds to pay an escort to keep quiet about the affair they had when his wife was pregnant, because they love their Christian values. It wasn't that. It wasn't this big, beautiful bill that guts Medicaid and SNAP benefits. It wasn't the complete dismantling of the Department of Education that impacts everybody, because whether you're Republican or Democrat, I'm pretty sure your kids got to go to public school. Yes, Tia, it's a long list of shit. All this. And it's a long list of the Epstein files, and it's a long list of shit. And with all these lists, like, not seeing the list of who's on who were Jeffrey Epstein's clients, that's the thing. And it's like, okay, MAGA hates pedophiles or rapists. And as long as the rapist isn't Trump, that's the thing. But let's say if they release the list, if they were to release the list and have everybody on it but Trump, then what? Like, we would have to accept that because it would just be what was released and there's nothing we could do about that, right? So it's like, I'd much rather, me personally, I'd rather there not be a list that comes out, because I feel like that list could be doctored up and changed in so many ways that we wouldn't know what's the truth or not, versus no list coming out. And again, if this is the hill that, you know, MAGA wants to die on, I'll take it. Whatever it takes for them to see, you know, the president, the guy in charge, for what the fuck he is, I will take it. I think it's great. I hope they catch him in more cover-ups, because god damn it, sometime, like at some point, these motherfuckers gotta wake up. So hey. Yeah. And our last story. So Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Okay. They call her Dr. Bryant. She has gone, most of the time when she goes viral, it's because she is on another person's podcast and it's a male, and it's usually a man with a lot of kids, no wife, and she's usually talking about like her standards of dating, the standards that women should have when dating, and pretty much that, you know, these dudes ain't shit because they got a bunch of girls pregnant and ain't none of them married and all this other stuff. Like she has a target audience and she has a target show list, right? Like everybody has their brand, and, you know, she's in her brand, she's in her bag. Like, I'll give it to her, right? But here's the thing. She was recently on Paul Pierce. Now, I've been on Paul Pierce's head before, right? So that's why I got to give him his props, because, you know, he kind of called her out and he did a really good job on it. And so let's just check the clip from their most recent show. And what's the name of their show again? It is The Truth After Dark. Okay, so let's listen to what her truth is right now about her dating situation.
What's going on with her? She dating, single?
Dating.
What do that entail for a 42-year-old?
I am dating.
Dating, but single.
Enjoying my life. I have really good companions.
How many are you dating right now?
I'm not exclusively committed to anyone, but I have one guy that I have dated off and on for 5 years.
Got her.
We've dated for 5 years off and on.
So you was his work for 5 years?
We have been each other's companion for 5 years. And yeah, I have spent the block for 5 years, and it's the truth. And he doesn't like it. He's absolutely correct. He feels like I haven't provided.
Oh, your work.
We working together.
You keeping him at bay, or is he keeping you at bay?
He wants a relationship. He wants to be committed.
You just like the sex. He
wants a relationship.
She been kept him on the side until she figured out if it's something better. I see where this is going.
We both had to work through things, but he's had to work on his emotions and his intense insecurities around being in a relationship.
And you've been waiting on it. Like what's the problem? Why y'all not together?
Just because of that,
So you waiting on that?
No, I'm not waiting on it, and I don't have him waiting.
So the D is good.
Oh, you're a man, so you answer this question.
I answer it.
Emotionally, he goes back and forth from, I love you, I want to be with you, I'm mad because you won't be with me, you won't commit to me. And then his insecurities get the best of him. And it's like, I want you, but I'm not sure if I deserve you. I'm not sure that I can facilitate you. I'm not sure that I can be with you. So when I say emotionally instability, it's like him wanting to be with me is concrete. That's not unstable. His emotions in the relationship are just unstable to where as a man, you gotta get vertical within yourself before you can be in a relationship.
You good with these words.
I am.
You good with these words.
Listen,
because
but
you
let me
giving
say
all
this.
these people advice.
Let me say this,
wow,
Paul. He has every right to feel like what I've been doing as far as being in a relationship with him when I want to and is not something that gives him stability. However, I don't want to commit to a relationship with a man who I feel emotionally is not in a place of being able to be in a healthy relationship.
Ooh, that was a lot. Okay, so first and foremost, right, what I cannot stand is when people brand themselves as a relationship expert, right? And their brand is their relationship expert, but they're in a pretty shitty situation themselves. And not only are they in like a shitty relationship themselves, it's like it takes a shitty person like Paul Pierce to call them out on their shit. Like Paul Pierce exactly is an absolute menace. Like Paul, I can't stand a lot of his commentary when I see it, but god damn it, he was right. Because you're 42, you're unmarried with kids. Now, I'm an older woman. I'm pushing 40. So I'm an older woman. I don't have kids. I'm not married. So I'm in a place where I can speak on, wanting to be in that place where it's like you're choosing the man and you're choosing like who you want to be with, because it's like you do want to get married. You do want a family. But at some point, you got to make better choices. So when you're older and you have a guy, and like she said, he's 9 years younger than her. And not only is he 9 years younger than her, they've been dating for 5 years. So let's do a little math right here, right? And I'm not knocking the cougar shit. Like, get you a young one if you can. But if she's 42, so let's go, when she was 38, he was 27 or 29. 29. So he's not even 30 yet when she bagged him and started messing with him, right? But to deal with somebody off and on for 5 years that doesn't have the isn't in an emotional space to be with you, but you claim that you need a man, that is emotional. And the word salad was salading, okay? That shit was getting tossed around because if you have a fuck buddy, you got a fuck buddy. You know what I'm saying? If you got a little hot young thing, you got a hot young thing. That's fine. But when, one of the things she preaches is like, oh, well, I want kids and I'm not going to date a man with kids. Or, so it's like, okay, you got this young guy who probably doesn't have kids and who probably will, be able to get you pregnant and get you what you want when you're ready or when he's ready. But to preach to other women to have standards, to have this brand where you go to different men and tell them kind of like why they ain't shit because they got a lot of babies by multiple women, or they, the broken family and all of this, but yet you got a dude you in a situationship with a younger dude for 5 years. And then you talking about you stringing him along. Like, that's my problem with people who have a brand of giving relationship advice. Because for one, they're not living what they're preaching. And it's kind of like they're giving off advice that they wish they could follow, but they can't even follow it. Because if they were following it, wouldn't they be in a successful relationship by now? And it even goes back to Kevin Samuels, right? Like, I get so irritated. Tia said she was supposed to have them answers ready. She should have had them answers ready, and the answer should have been like, my business is my business, or I don't speak on that, or something. Like, he got her ass. And I cut up a lot of, what he was saying because he ate her up so bad. Getting ate up by Paul Pierce, the man who got fired from ESPN because he was drunk around some strippers trying to do his job. Like, girl, you're supposed to be a doctor. And on top of that, it's like, it reminds me of Kevin Samuels too. Like, Kevin Samuels talked about, the being a high value man and not dating nurses and da 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 da. And, he died from drinking too many Red Bulls and was fucking a nurse. He was still fucking the same kind of women that he was bashing. And it's like, stop with following, the branded relationship gurus. Because the people that have like the brand of a relationship guru, like they if they not married themselves, if they ain't got kids themselves, I would much rather hear about the struggles and what you're battling and what you're dealing with and what you're overcoming versus this persona of the doctor, the relationship doctor that has it all together, but she's been in a situationship with a dude 9 years younger than her who doesn't have the emotional capacity to be with her. And then you can't preach to not settle. Like, you can't preach you're not settling when you're settling for a situationship. And that's the thing, like, people love to say, like, oh, I'm not settling. If you're, like, settling for, you don't have to settle. Just, like, being in a relationship doesn't mean you're settling. Like, you cannot be in a relationship. If you're still dealing with a person that's beneath you or beneath your standards, if you're still, dealing with something that you could do better in or you deserve better, but you still choose to deal with that for comfort and company, that's a settlement. And you got to get relationship advice from people that's married. And it's like, if you want to get advice from being rich, right? If you want advice about wealth, are you going to talk to Joe Schmo at the corner store that ain't got shit? Or are you going to talk about, are you going to talk to the motherfucker that's the multimillionaire? Tia said she got knocked off her square. Do you think she could recover? No, I don't think she can recover, but I think that there are people that are still going to follow her because they can relate to that. So I don't even think I think that people forget shit so fast. I don't even think it's going to matter. But I do think now people have a talking point that they going to get her ass on. So she better be prepared going forward because this is going to keep coming up. Now everybody going to be asking her about that dude she been fucking for 9 years the 9 years younger dude that she's been fucking for 5 years that she don't want to be with and he's not emotionally ready to be with her. Like, that's going to be a talking point that she cannot live down now. And I hope she goes back to Cam Newton's show and he talks to her about that because now he got something to eat her up on. Because she was eating him up on, him having kids, all them kids. And nobody knew how she was living. She should have lied. And that's the thing is, if you go front about something or have, these unrealistic standards, I feel like if you are portraying yourself to, be of a certain, way, I feel like you should have, a story that goes along with it for these types of things. Because she should never. But he got her because he was like, you 42, you single, what's your deal? Because yes, women choose to be single. Like, yes, we can. We have the choice. But I think that if you're out here giving relationship advice, like, or you're portraying yourself, as this doctor that got that shit all together, you should be practicing what you preach. And I think that part of the issue is that it's so easy now to brand yourself somewhere in this, in these relationship podcasts setting, right? And the problem is Kevin Samuel started it all, but everybody wants to have the upper hand in saying what's wrong with like the other gender. And instead of saying like what's wrong with ourselves, because I would love to hear why she's still dealing with this guy after 5 years. Like that to me is like her brand, like reflecting on yourself as a doctor and why you're still in this situationship, because then you could build a sister circle with other sisters so that way y'all can all figure out why y'all in these dumbass situationships. That's gold, but no one wants to, admit the problem that they have within themselves. It's like, I feel like it's easier to build the brand off of saying what's wrong with men and, for men to say what's wrong with women. And that's why there's so much piss in the dating pool now, because everybody wants to talk about the problem with the other sex and portray themselves as they got all the answers. And again, that's why I love talking to married people that have been married for so long, because they will tell you it's really about accepting the other person's flaws. Like there's so many unrealistic expectations now on dating because of all these dumbass podcasts, and like people have these standards, and standards are great. Like I have standards. Everybody should have their standards for like what shit they won't deal with and what they want to deal with. But you can't get, like, you have to compromise on some things. And we need to start listening to people who have been married for a really long time so we can hear the shit that they compromised on. Because granted, there were some women back in the day where their compromise was, getting beat on and cheated on, and her husband had 2 families and all that other shit while they were married. And no, I'm not saying like settling in that aspect, but people need to start being real about their compromise. And I hope moving forward, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, switches her brand from pointing out what men are doing wrong to like, more reflective as to the inner work women can do to like attract better men, or, wait for better men or choose better men. Because again, if you're choosing to deal with somebody that is emotionally unavailable for 5 years, imagine the good men you could have passed up because you dickmatized by this younger dude. I'm just saying, but what do I know, right? I will say that now I will probably most likely watch her next interview or her next show, because I want to see what's going to happen with that. But while she's figuring out what she's going to do with her brand, see, Miss Megaliana and Be Fck'n For Real, we true to our brand, because everything we say is an unfiltered take. It's an unapologetic truth. And that's what Be Fck'n For Real is about. Anything I say, I could say it here on this mic. I could say it in the text message if I'm talking about what's going on. I could say it in random conversation, because it's authentic. And here is where y'all can give y'all authentic thoughts too. So shout out to Tia Quisha. Always commenting, appreciate your support, always pulling up, joining the conversation. Make sure y'all tune in again next Sunday for another episode of our Sunday Sound Off on YouTube at Miss Megaliana. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and set the alert so that way you'll know next time I go live. All right. I'm Miss Megaliana.